They thought the money was enough to buy the silence of every witness. But they were wrong. Just minutes ago, a chilling 12-second clip from a hidden street camera near the Seminole Hard Rock Casino was leaked onto the dark web before being nuked by high-powered lawyers. What it shows is going to haunt the hip-hop industry forever. In the flickering light of a Florida valet area, we see the Migos superstar, a man who once commanded the world's biggest stages, stripped of his pride, on his knees, with his hands trembling in the air. He isn't fighting back. He isn't acting like a gangster. He is sobbing. He is pleading. He is begging for his life against a dark, hooded figure that the authorities are refusing to identify. Why was this footage deleted within seconds? Who has the power to wipe digital evidence from government-linked servers? And what did Offset say in those final seconds before the shots rang out? Stay tuned, because we are breaking down the footage the industry is desperate to hide. The truth is more terrifying than the headlines. To truly grasp the sheer, unadulterated terror visible in those 12 seconds of deleted footage, you have to look past the flashing lights of the Hollywood, Florida casino. You have to look at the invisible walls that have been closing in on Kiari Cephas, better known to the world as Offset, for a very long time. This wasn't just a random act of street violence. This was a calculated reckoning. This was the moment the debt collectors finally stopped calling and started shooting. For the last 3 years, Offset has been a man living on borrowed time, borrowed fame, and most dangerously, borrowed money. To the casual observer, he was still the set-it-off superstar, draped in hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Elliott Elianti diamonds and driving multi-million-dollar Lamborghinis. But behind the culture, there was a rot that no one wanted to talk about. The tragedy began on a cold November night in 2022 when his cousin and Migos brother, Takeoff, was gunned down in Houston over a senseless dice game. That night didn't just break a legendary rap group, it broke Offset's spirit. Insiders close to the quality control camp claim that following Takeoff's death, Offset spiraled into a world of high-stakes gambling that would make even the wealthiest high rollers flinch. He wasn't just playing for fun anymore. He was playing to numb the pain of a crumbling brotherhood and a failing marriage. But the house always wins, and Offset was losing big. Reports suggest that by early 2025, the Migos money, those $36 million years, had effectively dried up. The touring had stopped. The group had disbanded. The solo hits weren't hitting the same. Yet, the bills didn't stop coming. The financial walls started bleeding first. The IRS, a predator that never loses a cent, hit Offset with a massive $1.5 million lien. Then came a separate six-figure tax debt for the following year. Then the state of Georgia came for their cut. His legal fees were mounting from a default judgment in Miami where he allegedly struck 2 victims. Every courtroom he walked into was a drain on his dwindling reserves. But the government wasn't his biggest problem. The real danger was brewing in the dark corners of the gambling world, a world where "I'll pay you back" isn't an option. Enter the Lil TJ conflict. What many dismissed as petty social media clout chasing was actually the first public crack in Offset's armor. When TJ went on Twitch and Instagram to call Offset a broke gambler who owed him $10,000, he wasn't just venting. He was exposing the truth. Offset was begging for cash at the tables. He was borrowing from anyone who would listen. But TJ was just a small fish. Behind TJ were the big sharks, anonymous industry figures and casino creditors who don't use lawyers to settle their disputes. While this financial fire was burning, his personal life was a nuclear wasteland. His estranged wife, Cardi B, wasn't just filing for divorce. She was exposing his secrets to the world. In those infamous, tear-filled live streams, she didn't just call him a deadbeat dad. She dropped the ultimate bomb. She claimed he was holding the divorce hostage because he needed her to pay his taxes. She claimed he was demanding $50 million in spousal support because he had run out of his own. Imagine the desperation of a man who once helped define the sound of a decade, now publicly begging his ex-wife for a payout just to stay afloat. This is the man who walked into the Seminole Hard Rock Casino on that Monday night. He wasn't there as a celebrity guest. He was there as a man looking for a big score to save his life. He was a man trapped between the IRS, a $900,000 gambling debt to the streets, and a woman who refused to give him another dime. The atmosphere in Hollywood, Florida, was thick with tension, and the street cameras, those unblinking eyes, were watching every step of his final walk toward the valet area. The industry wants you to believe this was a random scuffle. They want you to believe it was non-life-threatening. But the history of the Migos collective is written in blood and bullets. From the 2014 highway shooting in Miami to the devastating loss of Takeoff, violence has trailed Offset like a shadow. And now, in 2026, that shadow has finally caught up to him. The stage was set for a confrontation that would be scrubbed from the internet within seconds, but the memory of what happened in that parking lot is now etched into the dark web forever. The air in Hollywood, Florida, on the night of April 6th was thick, heavy with a kind of humidity that precedes a storm. But the storm that was about to hit the Seminole Hard Rock Casino wasn't weather-related. It was a calculated, professional extraction. For years, we've heard the stories of celebrity altercations, the he said, she said gossip of the valet area. But what happened at exactly 7:14 p.m. was something else entirely. It was the moment the deleted street cam captured a truth so dark, the industry spent millions to make it vanish. As Offset exited the high-stakes area of the casino, witnesses describe him as distraught and looking over his shoulder. He wasn't walking like a man who had just won. He was walking like a man who knew he was being followed. He approached his custom vehicle in the valet zone, but before the attendant could even hand him the keys, a black, tinted SUV screeched to a halt, blocking the only exit. This wasn't a random fan. This was a tactical box-in. In the leaked street cam footage, the one the police claim malfunctioned, we see two figures emerge from the SUV. They aren't wearing flashy chains or designer gear. They are dressed in tactical black, faces obscured by balaclavas. This is where the narrative shifts from a scuffle to an execution attempt. The video shows Offset frozen. He doesn't reach for a weapon. He doesn't try to run. Instead, the man who once rapped about set it off collapses to his knees. The audio, captured by a nearby high-definition security mic, is gut-wrenching. You can hear the Migos rapper's voice cracking as he shouts, "Please, not like this. I told him I'm getting the money. Cardi is signing the papers tomorrow." This is the footage the labels deleted. Seeing one of the most influential rappers of the decade on his knees, begging for his life like a man who has lost everything, would destroy the tough guy brand forever. The dark figure levels a weapon directly at Offset's head. For 5 agonizing seconds, time stands still. You see Offset's hands trembling in the air, the same hands that have held Grammys and multi-platinum plaques, now shaking in the face of a cold steel barrel. But then, the unthinkable happens. The gunman doesn't pull the trigger. Instead, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a smartphone. He forces Offset to look into the camera. The gunman is heard saying, "Tell the boss you're a dead man if the wire doesn't hit by midnight." Offset, sobbing, looks directly into the lens and whispers, "I'll do it. Just don't tell the kids." It was a live-streamed humiliation. A private broadcast for a mysterious mastermind who was watching the terror in real time. Only after this ritual of humiliation was complete did the second gunman fire. But he didn't aim for the chest. He fired 2 rounds into Offset's lower legs. The goal wasn't to kill him. It was to brand him. To make sure that every time he walks with a limp for the rest of his life, he remembers who owns him. As Offset collapsed onto the pavement, clutching his legs, the SUV sped off into the Florida night. But here is where the social media war began. Within minutes, a fake Twitter account, reportedly linked to a disgruntled casino employee, posted a screenshot of the video with the caption, "Your favorite rapper is a hostage. Hashtag the truth will leak." The reaction was a mix of absolute panic and cold-blooded betrayal. Leaked insider messages from a popular hip-hop Discord server allegedly showed a conversation between 2 high-level executives at Offset's former label. One message read, "Get the server offline now. If the public sees him begging, we lose the catalog value. Wipe the street cams. Now." By the time the Seminole Police Department issued their first official statement, the narrative had already been sanitized. They called it a minor dispute over a gambling debt. They said the injuries were non-life-threatening. They made it sound like a typical Friday night gone wrong. But the internet never forgets, and the ghost footage began circulating on encrypted messaging apps like Telegram. Fans who managed to see the clip before it was nuked described a scene of pure psychological warfare. One user wrote on Reddit, "I saw it. It wasn't a fight. Offset was crying. He was naming people. He mentioned a name that starts with J and said he'd pay the Epstein tax if they just let him go." The escalation. Suddenly, the story wasn't about a shooting anymore. It was about a shadow industry that uses rappers as high-stakes pawns. The first twist had been revealed. Offset isn't just a victim of a shooting. He is a prisoner of a massive, industry-wide extortion ring. And the deleted street cam is the only evidence that proves he was being targeted for something much bigger than a $10,000 debt to Lil TJ. As Offset lay in the hospital, under a heavy guard that looked more like captors than protectors, the world waited. But they weren't waiting for a medical update. They were waiting to see if the mastermind would release the full audio of what Offset confessed while he was on his knees. The walls weren't just closing in on Offset, they were closing in on the entire music industry. And the first shot had only just been fired. The digital world was already in a state of absolute meltdown, but as the clock struck midnight on Tuesday, the situation shifted from a local tragedy to a global conspiracy. The deleted street cam had planted the seed of doubt, but a second, even more terrifying leak was about to grow into a forest fire. While Offset's legal team was busy issuing cease and desist orders to every major news outlet, a whistleblower account on X, formerly Twitter, allegedly belonging to a technician at the hospital's security hub, dropped a bombshell that shifted the entire narrative. The leak contained a single, high-resolution still frame from the same street camera, but from a different angle, the rear view. And what it revealed sent a cold shiver through the hip-hop community. As the gunmen were forcing Offset to his knees, the camera caught a clear glimpse of the back seat of Offset's own vehicle. He wasn't alone. Sitting in the back, behind the tinted glass, was a woman whose face is synonymous with the highest echelons of industry power. It wasn't Cardi B. It wasn't a random groupie. It was a woman closely tied to the mastermind executive who Offset had allegedly called out to during his pleas for mercy. The internet went into a frenzy of identification. Within an hour, the woman in the backseat was trending globally. Investigators, the self-appointed digital detectives of Reddit and TikTok, began cross-referencing her jewelry and outfit from a private industry gala held just hours prior. The conclusion was staggering. Offset hadn't been ambushed at a casino by random thugs. He had been lured there by someone he trusted. This was a honey trap set by the very elite he was trying to pay off. But the mystery of the woman was only the tip of the iceberg. Remember the name Offset shouted while begging? The name that started with J? New leaked audio from an encrypted Telegram group surfaced, purportedly capturing the full 30 seconds of the altercation. In this version, Offset's voice is heard screaming, "I'll pay Jay the tax. I'll give him the masters. Just don't let them do what they did to Take." The mention of the J tax and the masters turned the shooting into an industry-wide scandal. It suggested that Offset wasn't just in debt to gamblers. He was being extorted for the rights to the Migos' entire musical catalog, a collection worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The J in question is whispered to be a high-level fixer who operates in the shadows of the music business, a man who collects protection taxes from rappers who want to stay alive in a world of violence. The reaction from the inner circle was one of pure, unadulterated panic. Fake Twitter threads began to circulate, allegedly showing DM leaks from prominent rappers like Jay-Z, Kanye West, and 50 Cent. While some were clearly satirical, others felt eerily authentic. One thread, which gained 5 million views in 2 hours, claimed that the J-Tax was a secret agreement that many top-tier artists had signed years ago, and Offset was the first one to try and break the contract. The industry backlash was swift. Major labels allegedly threatened to pull their advertising from any platform that hosted the deleted footage. This wasn't about protecting Offset anymore. It was about protecting a systemic extortion ring that reached the very top of the corporate ladder. The hospital gown photo we saw earlier suddenly took on a new meaning. The man in the tactical vest standing in Offset's room wasn't a police officer. When zoomed in, the vest didn't say police. It bore the logo of a private, high-end mercenary firm. Offset wasn't being treated. He was being interrogated while in a vulnerable state. As the world watched for a sign of life from Offset, his official Instagram account did something that shocked everyone. For exactly 60 seconds, a live broadcast started. The screen was black, but the audio was clear. It was the sound of a struggle. A muffled voice, sounding remarkably like Offset, whispered, "They have the kids. Don't believe the statements." The live stream was cut abruptly, and the account was deactivated seconds later. This was the second twist that changed everything. The shooting wasn't just about money or masters. It was a kidnapping and extortion plot involving his family. Suddenly, Cardi B's silence made sense. She wasn't ignoring him. She was being silenced. The hostage negotiation she mentioned months ago had turned into a literal nightmare. The narrative was no longer about a rapper who lost his way. It was about a man who knew too much, owed too much, and was now being silenced by the very machine that built him. As the sun began to rise over the Memorial Regional Hospital on Wednesday morning, the world realized that the deleted street cam was just the prologue. The real story was hidden in the black box of the music industry's darkest secrets, and Offset was the key they were trying to break. The cliffhanger? A local Florida news station reported that the black SUV used in the shooting was found abandoned and torched in a nearby swamp. Inside the charred remains, investigators allegedly found a single item that hadn't burned: a Migos culture chain snapped in half. The message was clear. The culture was dead, and Offset was next. The moment the rumors of the deleted street cam hit the mainstream, the internet didn't just react, it fractured. Within hours, the hip-hop community was split into a digital civil war. On one side, the truth seekers began a relentless campaign to find the original file, while on the other, industry apologists tried to dismiss the entire event as a nothing burger. But as the details of Offset's desperate pleas for his life began to circulate, the silence from the industry's biggest names became deafening. On TikTok, the hashtag Offset footage gained over 500 million views in a single night. Creators began posting frame-by-frame breakdowns of the blurry screenshots, claiming they could see the exact moment Offset's spirit broke. One viral video, which garnered 2 million likes, featured a forensic audio expert, allegedly cleaning up the background noise of a leaked clip. The result? A clear voice saying, "I'll give you the Migos catalog, just let me walk." The comment sections were a battlefield. If this is true, the industry is more like the mob than we thought. One top comment read. Another fan wrote, "Offset on his knees is the saddest thing I've seen in 20 years of hip-hop. They really humbled a king." But not everyone was sympathetic. A large group of Cardi B loyalists took to X, formerly Twitter, to point out the hypocrisy. They shared clips of Cardi's old live streams where she called him a hostage taker, arguing that the shooting was simply the karmic debt for his alleged financial abuse of her. While the fans were debating, the industry elite were scrambling. 50 Cent, never one to miss a moment of drama, posted a cryptic image of a puppet on a string with a caption, "Gambling with other people's money is a dangerous game." Some people don't want the catalog, they want the soul.
Get well soon, Set.
The post was deleted within 10 minutes, but not before screenshots reached every gossip blog from the Shade Room to TMZ. Lil TJ, who was released on bail just hours after the incident, added fuel to the fire during a chaotic Twitch stream. "Y'all calling me the villain? Go ask the guys in the suits why the cameras went dark," he told his 100,000 live viewers. Offset isn't a victim, he's a pawn. And pawns get sacrificed when the king is in trouble. His words sent shockwaves through the community, implying that the mastermind behind the shooting wasn't a street rival, but a corporate entity. Perhaps the most damaging reaction came from an anonymous insider account on Reddit that claimed to be a former employee of quality control. The post, titled "The Price of the Culture," detailed a secret protection tax that Migos had allegedly been paying to a shadowy figure known only as Jay since 2017. According to the Post, Offset stopped paying his portion after Takeoff's death, and the deleted street cam was the receipt of what happens when you try to opt out. The mainstream news outlets, caught between the official police report and the viral leaks, were in a state of paralysis. CNN's entertainment division released a statement saying they were investigating the validity of the leaked footage, but they refused to air any clips. This only fueled the cover-up narrative. Fans accused the media of being bought and paid for by the labels to protect Offset's commercial value. By Wednesday evening, a massive digital protest began. Thousands of fans changed their profile pictures to a blacked-out Migos logo, demanding the release of the unedited street cam. The division was clear. The public wanted the truth, while the industry wanted to keep the mask on. But the most chilling reaction came from a leaked internal memo from a major streaming giant, which reportedly advised its algorithm team to deprioritize Offset's solo music to avoid association with the violent controversy. The message was clear. Offset was being erased, not by a bullet, but by a corporate delete button. And as the world watched the chaos unfold, one question remained: is Offset's life worth more to the industry as a living legend or a tragic headline? Just when we thought we had the pieces of this puzzle together, the gambling debts, the J-tax, the honey trap, a final piece of evidence surfaced that has turned this entire scandal into a nightmare from which there is no waking up. The deleted street cam wasn't just hidden because of Offset's humiliation, it was hidden because of who was recording it from the other side. As the gunmen were forcing Offset to his knees and he was screaming about his masters and the Migos catalog, a second camera, not a street cam, but a high-end dashboard camera from the black SUV, captured a clear view of the person calling the shots via a live video call on the gunman's phone. A whistleblower from the forensic team, who managed to save a cache of data before the FBI seized the servers, has leaked a single, horrifying detail. The person on that video call, the one Offset was crying to, the one he called Jay, the one he promised the money to, wasn't a man. And it wasn't a corporate executive. The J in the J-tax stands for Jordan, as in Jordan Cephas, Offset's own eldest son's name. But it goes deeper. The J wasn't a person, it was a project. Project Jordan is allegedly the code name for a secret trust fund and insurance policy set up by the industry elite to harvest the wealth of rappers through orchestrated tragedies. But here is the twist that will make your blood run cold. While Offset was in the hospital and the world was looking for a mastermind, in the shadows, a new video surfaced on the dark web just minutes ago. It shows a room filled with Offset's personal belongings, his chains, his passports, and most importantly, his legal documents. A hand enters the frame, holding a lighter to the Migos culture contract. As the paper burns, the camera pans up to a mirror. For a split second, we see the reflection of the person holding the lighter. It's the secret woman from the back seat of the car. And she isn't an industry executive. She is a woman who was once part of Offset's inner circle, someone who knows every secret, every debt, and every weakness. The woman whispers one final line before the screen goes black. Takeoff was the warning. Offset is the payoff. Quavo is next. The internet is currently in a state of absolute paralysis. Is this a planned end of the Migos ritual? Is the shooting at the casino just the first act in a three-part tragedy? The Seminole police have just announced an emergency press conference for 4 a.m., but rumors are already swirling that the hospital room where Offset was being kept is empty. No records of his discharge. No signs of his team. No trace of the man who was begging for his life just 48 hours ago. Offset has vanished. And the deleted street cam might be the last time we ever see him alive. Who is the woman in the mirror? What is Project Jordan? And is the J-tax actually a blood oath that no one is allowed to leave? The cycle isn't just continuing, it's accelerating. The clock is ticking, and the silence is deafening. Offset has vanished, the footage is being scrubbed, and the secret woman is still out there. But we won't let them bury the truth. Who do you think was in that mirror? Is Project Jordan the dark end of the Migos legacy, or is Offset playing a dangerous game to disappear for good? Drop your theories in the comments. We need to piece this together before the next update. Smash that like button to show the industry we aren't falling for the cover-up. Subscribe and hit the bell icon right now, because our whistleblower is about to leak the hospital discharge papers, and you cannot afford to miss what's coming next. The truth is coming.
Are you ready?